but maybe because I think, in fact, and I'll find a way to cut this out if you don't want this story in. There was not too long ago. You and I were over here. You were going to build the Murphy bed, right?
Yeah.
You have a Murphy.
Go for it, yeah.
You okay with this story? So here's a story.
Welcome back to the show. There's no telling where we'll go. So come and share a laugh on the Imp and Skizz podcast.
We're back for another podcast, and we're gonna do kind of a really laid back one today. We're just I believe everybody in the world is good at something, and I know there's people that think they're not good at anything, and that's not true. I think everybody's got something, and most people can offer several things. So we're gonna be talking about just sort of that list that we each have of the things that we're kind of good at.
I was supposed to make a list?
Well, yeah.
Oh, shoot. Oh, no.
Well, in your head, whatever. I have it on my phone because it's just so many. It's not.
Dude, I mean, you brought up this topic a couple days ago, and I've been like really racking my brain trying to figure out what I'm good at, and I couldn't really come up with much, so I didn't make a list.
Okay.
I mean,
you got it. You do it.
I literally could only think of one. I always know what people are going to say next.
No, you don't.
That was an obvious one. Stop doing that.
Fireplace flue heating is a lost art. Whoa.
What about you? What's your skills?
I'm good at I don't know. I do have a list, and I didn't get too ridiculous here because I have it broken into silly stuff and then real stuff.
Oh.
Right? Like
maybe that was my issue. Like when you came up with the idea, I was just thinking more along the lines of silly stuff.
Okay, well that's fine.
And then I was like, "Oh, Skizz knows a lot of silly stuff." and
Shut
I was
up.
like,
I
don't hone my silly skills. I know.
I want to.
Can I just tell you what yours are?
Oh,
maybe. But if I said something that's not on your list, you probably listed it all.
No, I don't know.
No, I remember, dude. I remember in high school.
There we go.
When we would walk down the hallways. And you would always just be walking down the hallway with your textbook for class, spinning it on your finger.
Yes.
And I was like, how did you do that? And you do it with your drum pad, too.
Yeah.
You spin your drum pad on your finger. You spin your book on your finger. And I was like, how did you do that?
Yeah.
And I tried it a few times, and I hit myself in the face. And that was it.
I took the book off your shelf. In fact, I think I did this once on the podcast before when we did the gaming one. Did I spin it? I don't know. But what you're about to see, where's the camera? What you're about to see is going to blow your mind. No, it's not.
Don't worry. We have backup microphones just in case this goes south.
I know. I'm going to move this
okay.
away so I have the room. All right. So
here we go.
This is what I saw. I saw a guy spinning the book on his finger. By the way, I haven't.
It's an awesome book, by the way.
Yeah, I know. I saw this guy spinning a book on his finger through the hallway, and I was like, dude, I want to learn that. So I went home, and I'm like, well, I'm very neurotic. This is why I'm not this way anymore, because it was crippling. Went into my room, grabbed a book. I said, I don't get to leave this room until I have this skill. That was many, many hours of my life, and dropping the book and getting frustrated. So I kept trying to spin it, and I would go, and it would just fall. And then all of a sudden I realized if you just kind of try to find the center of it, the next thing you know, the finger just finds it. It's the craziest thing in the world.
I feel like I need to shield myself just in case. But he's a professional. Don't try this at home. Yeah, folks.
Well, you can try
it. Try it around a lot of pillows and not people.
This book is
or something, and maybe a smaller book. Maybe a book that's not hardcover.
This one's got. It's
I don't
sharp.
know.
The best one was the yearbooks, dude. They were huge,
dude.
Right?
Oh man, talk about getting hit with some nostalgia. Get that out. Get physically hit in the face with nostalgia. Okay.
Gotta spin this. Time.
No. Because we can't do a podcast while you're spinning a book. And also, right now, the audio-only people are really missing out.
We're done.
I feel like I need to play-by-play.
We're done.
And Skizzleman picks up a yellow console 2.0 book.
That one was hard to spin, actually, because because the texture of the book, I didn't realize it. I don't think
slippery?
No, it's actually kind of sticky. So what was happening, you need just the perfect amount of friction, right?
Okay.
And this was too sticky to where my finger was pulling it more than I wanted it to. Does that make sense? So
good news is, look at the back of the book now, that you made that controller look like a real controller. You see how it gave your fingernail marks on it?
No, because I would not be spinning over here.
No, right here. Look, all that.
Oh, yeah.
Now it looks like an authentic controller.
Yeah. So that's one of the silly.
Good talent.
It's a silly.
I don't understand though. Why? Why?
Why did I want to learn it?
Yeah, why take a whole day or whatever it took you to learn that?
Literally for no other reason other than I just thought it looked so cool. I was a high school kid, dude.
Yeah.
So I was like,
You're right, it is pretty boss.
I've
been jealous ever since.
I couldn't believe what I saw. I'm like, how is this guy spinning a book on his finger? I will become somebody who can spin a book on their finger.
Can you spin a basketball on your finger?
Of course.
Okay.
My dog can do that. You can do that.
Yeah, so what else you got?
Can you not?
No.
Sure you can.
No.
You know what
I
else?
mean, I can start to spin it, but it falls off within about a second and a half.
So here's something I can do when I'm really feeling good. You ready for this, dude? I can spin it. If I can get the basketball going, you got to get it going hard, one-handed. Just what I can't do is what they do in the Globetrotters, where they're just like. But I don't know how they do that, right? Yeah. But if I go like this. So if I get it spinning, you ready for this?
Okay.
I can do this sometimes. It's not perfect, but pretend there's a ball spinning on my finger.
Mm-hmm.
I can, as it's spinning, I can dip it to right here, and then I can go like this.
Down to your knuckle, up your arm, and around the chest to the other arm, back up,
back on the finger, back on the finger.
And then you flick it with the other hand, and it's half-court shot swish.
That part I'm working on. But no, I go
You'll get it.
like this, and then I go,
I believe in you.
And I get it back on the finger. Now that my success rate's not great, but I have some of those in the bucket too.
I feel like I don't have any silly skills. I
have
really
to.
don't. I can't think of anything that's like, why did I learn that? You know what I mean? Like, I'm struggling here. I really am.
You said you tried to do the book thing. It just wasn't for you, right?
Well, I gave up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's just call it what it was.
Yeah, but it means that you just didn't really care to learn it. You could have.
Yeah. You either want something or you really want something.
Mine's spinning a book.
Yeah. Do you kind of want it or do you really want it? Yeah, we learned about that.
Oh.
So yeah, I wasn't there yet with the book spinning thing.
No.
Or you do all that with your poker chips all the time.
I can shuffle poker chips.
Shuffle them with one hand. You also have big hands, so that's probably very helpful.
So picture like when somebody shuffles cards, right? They go and the cards,
I can do that.
You can shuffle cards.
I can do that with the bridge and everything. Bring it back.
That's good.
Yeah,
that's good. Shuffling poker chips. This is another
macaroni art that my mom put on the refrigerator. Thanks for placating me.
Shut up. I was young. I was 21. I went to Vegas for the first time, and I was at like a roulette table, and it was like what a weird time. So it was just me and a couple buddies and like one other stranger, and the stranger was shuffling his chips. I'd never seen anything like this. I'd never seen this. And meaning he would have his poker chips and he would put 2 stacks of them. It'd be about like 8 in one and 8 in the other. And then with one hand, he would just kind of grab it and move up and they would shuffle into each other like a deck of cards. I'm like, how did you do that? He's like, just a lot of practice. And I'm like, I'm going to have to learn that skill set now. And so I did. And I was like, and it took a lot for me to get there, dude, a lot. And I finally got there and now it's just like nothing, but it's just such a silly little skill.
Wow.
But it's also very therapeutic for me. I was at the casino like a couple weeks ago playing Hold'em. And, it's just when I'm in the middle of a big pot or whatever, there's a lot of thinking to be done. That when I'm shuffling, it just calms everything for me. Everything calms down. I've seen it before to where poker players have placed bets on the next person to shuffle their chips has to dish out $100 to everybody. You know what I mean? Just as a challenge, who can possibly stay away from it? And sure enough, just as they're playing their hands, just grab it and just, because it's just a thing. You got to, just helps. It just calms the waters, man.
Yeah. At least I would win that.
Because
I wouldn't do it because I couldn't do it.
That one I like. That one's fun to do.
Oh, interesting.
I bet I know something you can do. You can spin a drumstick, right?
Yes. Yeah, I can do the little twirl around the thumb. I don't think I do it right.
We should have had drumsticks.
I don't think I do it right, but yeah, I can kind of like twirl it so it goes around the thumb and then right back into the fingers.
Yeah, you have it.
Yeah.
Picture, if you will. Why didn't we grab drumsticks? Picture,
I didn't know it was a prop show today.
It's
my bad.
Every time that there's an option for. Don't you remember show and tell as a kid? Show and tell was fun.
Yeah, I sucked at that too. Thanks.
I was so good at show and tell.
This is just a Skizz bragging about all the cool stuff he could do type of show.
No, it's not. Show and tell was neat because it was props. It was something you could see, something you could touch, right? That's why if prop or no prop, always prop. Anyways, so a picture, if you will, holding the stick, a drumstick. So it's coming on, sorry for audio only listeners, coming across your hand like this. And we basically just do this with it, and it goes around the thumb and then right back in place.
Yeah.
Now, we can do that all day, like nothing's happening. Like nothing's happening. First time I saw it was one of our original instructors. I'm like, what did you just do with your hand there?
Yeah.
And his answer was, shut up and get in line. And so I was like, geez. So
he was intense.
Yeah, he was. But I wanted to learn it, so I did. We all did, and it's not a hard skill. But the fun thing is, can you do it twice? Not twice in a row. Can you go,
not all the time. If I got lucky.
Yeah, if you go like
really
this just right, you can have it spin around twice around your thumb, and boom. I think my record was 5 spins on my thumb before I was able. to
wow.
I was like, pop.
Yeah,
that was just luck.
I never got to 5. I would do like 4, and then I would let it go up my arm and around my chest, and then in the other arm. You couldn't do that. Sorry, I'm just making stuff up now. Like I got nothing, so I'm just making stuff up.
You made me like see it happening, because if you did that, it would literally like the ends of it like dum 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 dum.
It wouldn't work. It wouldn't work. But I'm glad you visualized it.
Oh, that was funny, dude.
I thought we were gonna talk about like I'm good at basketball or drumming. Or
You
like,
are good at
what I mean? Like
basketball.
those kind of things.
Yeah, talk about
Okay.
anything that you're good at, dude.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, okay.
there's an activity,
we've talked
and
about
people
all
are like,
that.
you know who's good at that, dude? Impulse is really good at that. Drumming, you're a great drummer, dude. You
Oh,
know
thanks.
you are.
Yeah.
You're a great drummer. You have a huge history there, and that's something that basketball was just straight up your thing.
Basketball was my thing, but ultimately, like sports in general, I've always been kind of just naturally good at. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
like even golf. I think somebody showed me how to swing a club once, and I went to Top Golf last week with my daughter for her birthday, and I'm hitting the back wall. I can hit the ball, and I can hit the back wall. Like I was hitting it, I wouldn't say consistently, but like 50% of the time, I could get the ball to hit the back wall. Whether it'd go in one of the middle holes or not, that's that was changing
That's
every hit.
different,
But I was getting there, you know what I mean? And it's like, okay, nobody ever really taught me how to properly swing a club, and I never had lessons or anything like that.
That's something you're good at.
Axe
then.
throwing, you saw me learn axe throwing. You were there.
Yep.
And that was in the Detroit trip for Gamers Outreach, and,
You did good
and that
at
was
it.
my first time ever throwing an axe. And by the end of the night, I was right there competing with you and Tango, who have had many reps of throwing axes and stuff. So like, I just feel like from sports, I'm kind of like I can get good at feels like any sport, like even bowling, stuff like that, like the random stuff. I used to play tennis, things like that.
Yeah.
I love sports. I've always loved sports.
You know what?
Probably that's why, because I was like able to pick them up pretty quick.
You and I were playing a flag football game once upon a time. This was a billion years ago.
Yeah.
And I'm not like I'm actually I can move pretty quick. Actually, hold on, that's the wrong word. I can move pretty fast. Those are two different things, right? Quick is agility, but fast is what's your overall speed. And my top speed running is not great, but it's also not bad. It's actually pretty fast. And you remember we were doing the CrossFit games, I had to run out on field or whatever. When I just kind of give into the craft of a full sprint, I can actually get some decent speed, but it takes me a while getting there because I'm a big dude or whatever. You got the ball, and I was the one who had to chase you down, and you were probably about like 10 feet ahead of me when the race started, if you will, because you broke free of whoever was on you or whatever, but I was the one who had the best shot to come at you. And I'm like, and then you started to move. I'm like, dude, he's quick. Like you were quick. And I'm like, but there's a lot of field here, and I'm going to catch him by the end of this, because it's going to take me a few steps to get there, but I'm going to catch him. So I went to full speed, and I can cook. And the whole time I'm like, I'm not closing this gap at all. I am very pissed off right now. I'm like, how is he moving so fast? I couldn't believe what I was seeing, dude. So you're right. When it comes to athletics, so like it's like, Bill, I've never seen you move that fast. Like I've never seen it. It was really pissing me off.
I'm like, pride on the line, man. We were playing flag football. I think it was like a bunch of CrossFitters, right? Weren't we?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, so it was like a bunch of CrossFitters,
Yeah.
and we were kind of new to CrossFit too. So
I
we
couldn't believe it.
really wanted to.
Dude,
to
my
hold
legs
own.
are way longer than yours, dude. This should have been an easy
Yeah, but
race
it's
for
like
me.
what's the Looney Tunes guy where his legs just spin in circles.
Every Looney Tunes. Oh, the Roadrunner.
The Roadrunner. Yeah, I got like Roadrunner legs.
I
They
guess.
they get cooking.
And that is actually kind of funny that you say that, because as I was running after you, and I was at top speed, which again, it wasn't like I was the fastest guy there, but I'm pretty fast at top speed.
Yeah.
And as I was running, I was like, if this was a 20-yard race, I'm going to lose because he's going to be quicker than I am. But we had like 90 yards to go, dude.
Yeah.
I'm like, plenty of time. And
I just threw up at the end of that run, though.
I don't think you did, dude. But your legs were a blur, and your
like the Roadrunner, exactly.
And your torso was a portrait. It didn't move at all. Like I could have bounced a glass of water on your head. It was crazy, dude. You're just like, and it was just. I'm like, what am I dealing with here, man? Oh, that was so freaking irritating.
I remember. I actually remember that. I remember. Do you? I remember like that play. Even.
Do you? That's cool.
Yeah, that must have been a big deal for me,
dude. You were moving. I was so like I was impressed, but I was like, I can't believe he just outran me. What the heck just happened?
Yeah, I don't know why. Like, obviously I played basketball, but I kind of wish that I could go back in time and like try out for other sports. I would have loved to dabble because I am naturally good at all the sports. I was never great, you know what I mean? I was just good. I was like jack of all trades, master of nothing type of thing, which is fine. Like that's cool. I enjoyed that, being able to like if somebody said like, hey, let's go play racquetball, like within 10 minutes I'd have it down and be putting up a fight. You know what I mean? By the way, Tango is really big into racquetball. I don't know if he does anymore, but Tango tried to get me to play racquetball with him for a long time, and I just got the sense that he was like stellar at it, and it scared me. It scared me away.
So I never
took him up on him. No, we just never got a chance to.
Oh.
Unfortunately. We should, though. We should, though. Anyway.
Where it is, I don't know if you are. You got to get there. Get in a real safe space of where really try to win, but just be 100% fine with losing, and it makes life
if I played Tango at racquetball, I would assume he was going to
You would both
annihilate
destroy me because that game is all about agility. I mean, unless you have like, unless your ability with a racket is like top shelf and you can put the ball wherever you want it at whatever speed you want it, then you need a ton of agility, which I am.
Tango's like a super genius though. So like the second somebody hits the ball, he's already calculated the angles off of every corner of the wall.
He just holds his racket like this. Dude.
Yeah. Like the second the ball's leaving somebody else's paddle, he can just go like casually stroll over to a spot on the court, like you said, and hold his racket.
He's going in the opposite direction. Like where you're going, he's like right here.
Yeah. He's
but he's
super smart guy.
And the fact that he's a hockey player, he's going to have that like those really strong stabilizers in his ankles and everything. So he's going to be able to have that agility and everything. Yeah. You guys would both destroy me, but that'd be fun. We should do that.
Yeah.
Pickleball, dude. Why are we not playing pickleball?
Because every time we say, "Oh, we have time to play pickleball," there's a slight bit of wind and we can't play. Or we went and there was water on the court and we couldn't. Didn't we go?
One time,
you? And we got there and we tried to hit the ball like 3 times and then landed in a puddle and we're like, okay, never mind, we can't. We tried. Yeah, that's a weird game. We need to find like an indoor court to where weather's not a problem.
Well, that's what my wife was telling me is that there's a place called Chicken in a Pickle. And it's like a chicken place, and then there's pickleball.
So you eat chicken, and then you play pickleball.
Yeah, maybe you should do it in the other order.
Yeah,
because you can really. I mean, if you get after it, you can really move. I think we should do that.
Do people put pickles on their chicken?
That's what I thought it was at first. Because have you ever heard of chicken in a waffle? All right, let's move on. So there's you talk about sports. Here's something. How are you at throwing a baseball?
I can throw a baseball. I'm not like going to be an amazing like pitcher or anything crazy like that. But I think if we went and I stood on like second base and you stood on first base, I could probably get it to you without your foot leaving the bag. I feel like I'd be good enough for that. You might have to stretch a little bit, but I think I don't know, third base to first base probably wouldn't nail that. Like distance throw. We should try it.
Well, here's the thing.
We should try it. I'm very curious because I have thrown a ball
I'll
before,
happily
obviously.
catch it for you. I can catch all day long. And this is something that is almost a sore spot with me because that is legitimately one of my skills that I don't get to use anymore because I threw my arm out.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to be able to throw a baseball because I played a lot of baseball as a kid. And whenever I would have a baseball in my hand, there was something about the feel of it being, curved into the curvature of my thumb here, and then my fingers finding the seams, so wherever they were at, you know what I mean? and feeling the baseball in my hand, there was something that every time I was holding a baseball, it was like that was the piece missing from my body because it just felt so right. And so when I would play, I took for granted on how hard I could throw, how accurate I could throw. It was, if I was playing outfield, it was not a far-fetched by any stretch for me to get a ball and hit the catcher right in the glove. Nothing.
Wow.
Right.
That's really far.
That's far. I mean, not the wall, but I'm saying like if I'm in the outfield,
like over 200 feet or something, isn't it?
How long is those fields? Probably. Yeah. Which is not.
No wonder you threw your arm out.
Exactly. And I don't think it's even 200 feet. I don't even know what it is, but I could just hurl the thing, dude. And you know who took after me is my daughter. She's a catcher, but she also did a lot of outfield work too. And she, at one point, dude, she was playing center field. She gets a grounder and she throws out the batter at first base. You heard that right.
On a ground ball?
Yes.
Wow.
Because the batter hit the ball that hard. So it got to center field fast.
Yeah.
But when there's a ball on the ground in the outfield, that means it's a single. That's how that works. If it gets past the outfield, then it's a double, but that's a single. Okay. It was an out. She scooped it up and she threw a tomahawk missile to first base and got the out.
Wow.
And when she got her out, everybody, the coach of the other team was upset. Like, there's no way that she's out because you're not out on plays like that. I was like, well, the ball was there first.
Wow.
Like, it was just crazy, right? So that type of stuff, you end up feeling like this superpower, and I really miss it. I really, really miss it because, and every once in a while I'll kind of give into it, and I'll like, now when I throw, I have to leave my shoulder out of it. I have to go like this because
like a T-Rex.
Yeah, and I can still throw pretty far, believe it or not.
Okay.
But if ever I'm like, forget it, and I just give it the whole thing, I'm like, oh, and it hurts.
Don't
so
do that.
I know, but I want to throw the ball.
Have you tried your other arm?
No, because that's really. Yes, I've tried it.
Well, I mean, at some point, your throwing arm was really bad too, and you
you
worked
had
it
to
up.
keep
It's kind of like
this arm's the one I had a triple surgery on, so I don't even know if I could come back from it. It doesn't matter.
Yikes!
I'm.
Have you tried throwing it with your feet? Are we running out of limbs? Pretty soon, you're just gonna have the ball in his mouth like a chicken. Throw it. I mean, you're a mess, dude. Oh man,
you are really funny today, dude. That's amazing.
I have to do something because I've literally got nothing to talk. I mean, I asked my wife. I was like, okay, we're having this podcast. I'm struggling with coming up with stuff, and she goes, and I said, so help me. Like, what's something I'm good at? And she goes, well, you're really good at forgetting stuff. I was like, thanks.
I love her so much.
Thanks. Like, this is helping, you know?
Okay, I'll go ahead and tell you what you're good at.
Okay, thank you, please. Is it forgetting stuff? Because I've already heard that one.
No, you are really good at comprehension. You are really good at just something could be brand new to a group. It doesn't matter what the subject matter is. Mainly, my exposure to this with you is computer-based stuff, but it feels like there's nothing that's ever in front of you that's too complicated for you, which is... good for you. Kiss my ass. The rest of us have to deal with actually, like, sometimes things are complicated.
Okay.
Nothing's complicated to you. Nothing. Like, there's things that are foreign to you, but then all of a sudden they're no longer foreign to you. You know what I mean? And so, and that's something that I knew that your brain worked differently when I first started, giving you drum lessons a million years ago. I knew your brain worked better than most, but I didn't understand the full capacity of that until we went to college together and I saw the way you took to computers. You were already like enjoyed computers or whatever, but your like comprehension of development was next level. It felt like every time we were in a class together, except for the beginning was fun. The beginning took all of us a little bit to remember the calculator? We had to develop a calculator in Visual Basic. And we're like, this will be easy. We know how to move buttons around. And then we were like trying to figure it out. And both of us were like, wait a minute.
I remember at some point you and I looking at each other going, wait, we have to teach this thing how to do math?
Yeah.
Like, we were so dumb.
Yeah.
Like,
idiots. It's like, no, it's a computer. It knows how to do math, dude.
Yeah, no, like, Visual Basic has an engine that already knows how to do math. You don't have to teach it how to do math.
Yeah, exactly.
But we were so confused. I remember that. That was a struggle.
But that was a learning curve for both of us because in the beginning, but as soon as you said, like, you got it or whatever, then at that point... every lesson we were learning, it felt like you had already taken this class. It felt like you took it like a year ago. Like everything we did no longer seemed new to you anymore. So you just got it. You know what I mean? Like and that was like, that's a skill you have that you're not aware of. You know what I mean? You're not aware that you have. And I've said this a million times, dude. If you ever had to like use my brain to do normal work stuff, normal life stuff, you would hang yourself in an hour. You'd be like, this is the worst. You know what I mean?
I don't like that.
Well, no, but
like that idea.
No, I'm just saying, like, I'm saying, like, you would be like, I can't. Why is this like this? You know what I mean? Because you've lost sight of how easy you just comprehend stuff.
Yeah, no, you're right. Like, I remember we had like a homework assignment or whatever, and it was me, you, and my wife. We all were taking the same class, and I was done with it like pretty quick.
Yeah.
And I came in like, how are you guys getting on with it? And you were both frustrated.
Very.
My wife was very frustrated.
Yeah.
Like, she had to go take a break, and she was kind of like tearing up and stuff. I felt really bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think about those things, because unless you're like literally next to somebody to compare yourself, it just, that's just how it is.
It just felt like it was normal to you. Yeah. And you ended up acing all those classes and not even
except
really
for COBOL.
You didn't, because you didn't take it.
I took COBOL.
No,
I got a grade in the class.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm the one who got you that grade.
Yeah.
That's because there was a lost art that nobody was ever going to use ever again, and you were like, I'm not learning this because you're smart. You know
There's a
what I mean?
couple of people listening that have COBOL in their daily lives.
Today. You think?
Today, yeah.
Seriously?
Yeah, well, they're probably in the process of translating COBOL to a newer language as part of their job. I bet you anything. Leave a comment if that's you.
Well, we've talked about this story before, but the whole thing that you're talking about is like, we had assignments and you're like, I'm going to do this one and you do my COBOL and I'll do this, We were survivors, dude. And so, and the professors were dog
like,
crap.
That's
and yeah. No, it's not, it's surviving. Trust me on this one. And that was where the teacher had written like 9 pages of COBOL, and we had to write page 10 of COBOL because it's a top-down programming language.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't, not going to happen in this brain. Wasn't going to happen. Couldn't do it. And I'm like, there's only one way I'm going to get there. And I deleted everything that the professor wrote. Started with a blank canvas. And I was in that lab for like 5 hours and I'd say around after hour 1, I'm like, I think I'm cooked here. And then hour 2, I'm like, I'm starting to see it. Hour 5, I'm like, I'm a COBOL. I'm a master at COBOL. This was the book for me. You know what I mean? And so I was like, I am a master at COBOL. And then you came you're like, how's it going? I'm like, dude, check this out. And you're like, oh, you did the whole page 10 or whatever. I'm like, dude, this is all mine. I wrote all 10 pages. You're like, why did you do that? I'm like, because otherwise I wasn't going to get it. Yeah. And then you watched me doing it and you're like, dude, you're good at this. Yeah. And I was able to get it, but it was like, it just took me forever, dude. Like, but I had it like, you know what I mean? If you gave it a shot, you would never have deleted her stuff. You would have figured it out in 20 minutes. You would have been done in 30, but I was just, I was so annoying.
You also have this thing. I mean, I think it's a skill where you have to dig in. Like, you have to understand like if you see a car move down the street, you're not happy with, that car's moving. You want to know how it's moving. You want to get into the engine, dissect the engine, and understand what is making the tires turn.
Yep.
How does this thing operate? You want to get every little detail.
Yep.
So your brain goes there where it's like mine just accepts.
You know how to take things at face value when they're supposed to be taken at face value, which is why the semicolon had me punching myself in the head because it wasn't going to lock it in because they're like, oh, you do this and then semicolon. I'm like, why the semicolon? They're like, well, that's how you kind of like terminate that part of the, well, what does that mean? You know what I mean? They're like, well, that's like, okay, here's the logic and then semicolon. I'm like, but the other line's down here. And the teacher would be like, well, yeah, but it's a continuation of this line unless you do the semicolon. I'm like, okay. But I'd always forget it because why a semicolon? Whoa. For some reason, I needed a real answer as to why the semicolon. That's not good. That's not a skill. That's a deficiency, dude. Mm-hmm. I needed to be, semicolon, done, locked in. And I got it now.
I moved on.
Stupid semicolon.
But hey, I mean, once you get it though, like you're that much smarter for it. So I think it's got its pros and cons.
Yeah.
Like being inquisitive that way to wanting to know the reason why things are the way they are.
Yeah. Let's talk about some real stuff. Being good at real stuff, right? These are all
very real. I can't believe we're gonna move on from COBOL.
Nothing in my opinion, like I said, I split everything into silly and real.
Okay.
Nothing, in my opinion, that we've talked about is along the real stuff, right? In regards to the real gifts that you have, that we each have and that people have, right? And one of mine is, I feel, and I want to say this disclaimer, I might be wrong in everything I'm about to say in regards to what I think I'm good at, and it might just be that I used to be good at it and I'm not anymore. I don't know, but I think I'm really good at being an empath. I think I can identify with people's emotions. right? Like I remember watching Star Trek: The Next Generation when I was a kid, and there was an actress. There was a character on there played by this actress. I don't know what her name is, but her gift was she just always knew what people were feeling. She was an empath. Like I think she wasn't even human.
Is that what that means? I thought it meant you could like talk to dead people.
Well, now I should probably look it up.
I'm probably wrong.
So hold on, let me. We're gonna do
Isn't
this.
That wait? No, that's a different word. I think you're right.
Yeah, that's a medium.
Yeah.
Empath, the definition.
I mean,
empath is someone who is highly sensitive to the emotions of others. So yeah,
empathy. Yeah.
Yeah, empathy. Exactly. Right.
Okay.
So in regards to, and I could be not as good as I think I am, or maybe I've lost it because I've changed over the past X amount of years. But ever since I was a kid, I knew when one of my friends or just a classmate needed to talk about something, or I knew when they were feeling down or anxious or whatever. And also I have to entertain I didn't know, because if I didn't know, I wouldn't know I didn't know. You know what I mean? But there were times I was.
So you didn't engage?
I did, but I'm saying I would, and I would engage and I would work with them. I'm saying that there may have been times that I missed it because I didn't know. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I was able to identify with people in regards to, and sometimes it was simple change of behavior or a little bit of body language or whatever, you know what I mean? And it was something I didn't actually know that I was good at until people started to be drawn to me for counsel and stuff like that, which was an honor and all that. But I think I still have it. I think I do.
You do. I was always really surprised you never went into like being a therapist or, and you were really into psychology and stuff. So I kind of expected you at some point to go into that field because people would come to you naturally. And you usually did have really, really good advice for people on how to like get out of whatever bad place they're in and all that stuff. And for some reason you never went that direction with that.
Yeah, I don't know why. That's probably, I mean, that might just be a confidence thing. You know what I mean? I mean, that's a doctor, you know what I mean? And that was just so above my internal status that I was probably just dismissed it. I don't know. But maybe because I think, in fact, and I'll find a way to cut this out if you don't want this story in. There was not too long ago, you and I were over here. You were going to build the Murphy bed, right?
Yeah.
You have a Murphy.
Go for it, yeah.
You okay with this story? So here's a story. You were going to build this Murphy bed. It's a huge undertaking. So this, in case people don't know, this is a guest house. We're in a guest house on your property. And on the other side of this wall is this other room with like a kitchen.
Yeah, well, they've seen it. We sit on the couch every time we have a guest.
Exactly, right. In case you're new to this podcast or whatever. Anyways, that area we sit is a Murphy bed, which is a wall that turns into a bed if you want to. Well, that's a big thing. It's a big thing to build. And you had asked if I could come over and help you build it. And I was like, of course. So I come over and there's a big giant box. I remember lifting that box in here being like, dude, this thing is no joke.
Like many boxes.
Many boxes, very, very heavy. And so we're in here and we're just starting to cut open the boxes. And then your wife comes in and she like does something in the kitchen for a little bit. And then she was here for like 2 minutes and then she went back in the main house. And before we got started, I said, hey, are you sure that this is cool? And you were so confused. You're like, what do you mean? I'm like, that we're doing this. And you're like, I need your help. I'm like, I'm happy to help you. I think your wife was looking forward to doing this with you. Mm-hmm. And you're like, do you? And I'm like, I could be way off here, dude. Maybe she was like thrilled I'm here, but something about the way she entered and didn't accomplish anything and went back in tells me that she was hoping you and her would do this project together. Mm-hmm. And I said, so I'm going to go home and why don't you just talk to her a little bit? And so and then if I'm off, tell me, I'll come right back. I went home. I'd barely gotten home and you texted me. You're like, you nailed it.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, good. I'm glad. I was so happy, dude. I would have been so upset knowing later that I took this memory away from her. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I didn't pick up on it. I felt like an idiot, of course, because I didn't pick up on it. Like, because that was, that was her baby. Like, she had found it, ordered it, waited months for it to come. Like, remember, we had this place for a while, and it was like the last thing to go in. And so it had finally come, and it was exciting, And then I was like, okay, Skizz is gonna come over and help me build it. And right then, I mean, I wish she would have said something, but maybe because she knew I've already made the call or whatever, that she decided just to let it be. But then you're right, like her demeanor, kind of picked up on that. And then after you left and I went in and I could see it, then I could see it because I was looking for it at that point because you had pointed it out. And I was like, oh, yeah. And so I talked to her and she's like, it was my thing. I really wanted to be part of seeing it come to fruition or whatever. And I had kind of like taken that away from her. And I was like, oh man, Skizz is right. Okay. Yeah, we need to just listen to him on these kind of things.
Well, that thing is, and I want to just to defend you a little bit. And I love your wife. You know that. I've been friends with her as long as you've known her, right? I love your wife. Not the biggest communicator. You know what I mean? So you were already sort of kind of up. That was an uphill battle to begin with. You know what I mean? So it was one of those things where there was just going to be a subtle problem later. And so I feel compelled to defend you a little bit because if she had just been like, if she had just said something, obviously it would have been fine, but I can understand everybody's point of view. My point being that I do think I have that skill set. That was a good story that sort of illustrates that. But at the same time, I think that I don't like that skill set sometimes because I also know when somebody who I love is upset with me and I don't want to deal with it. You know what I mean? They can say one thing. Or just do a couple words that, and I think this is normal for most people to pick up on that, right? But they can do a couple words and I'm like, I know exactly why you chose those words. You know what I mean? I know exactly, like one of them is if my brother, if he says, listen, I got to ask, then in that moment, you don't have to ask. You think I'm an idiot on something and you want to hear me say it. You want me to tell you that I think I'm also an idiot and I'm not playing this game. You know what I mean? I know how he operates like that. You know what I mean? So because of that, even though he just said, hey, I just got to ask, and I gave him a diplomatic response, what I want to do is blow up. Be like, not me, man. You know what I mean? I don't like that, So I almost wish I didn't pick up on some of that stuff.
Have you ever been wrong? Like
I'm
you,
sure
you
I
had
have
like
to have.
it was obvious. You thought something, you engaged,
most definitely,
and then you found out, whoa,
most definitely,
I was way off. So you're not like 100%.
No, of course not. No, I do think I have the skill, but flawless, I am not. No, I've absolutely been wrong.
Yeah. All right. I mean, yeah. Okay. Now brain's going a little bit. I feel like one of my biggest things is logistics. Like really understanding what it's going to take to get from point A to point B. Oh, my dog's barking.
That's what your dog's good at.
Yeah, my dog's good at that. Yeah, I think that like anytime we need to get something solved, or it could be as simple as my daughter's got a volleyball tournament coming up. Okay, my brain immediately starts doing all the logistics.
Yeah.
Okay, where is it? How long is it going to take us to get there? What hours of the day are we going to be there?
Yeah.
Are we going to be crossing lunch and dinner? Okay, now we got to prepare for that. How are we going to do that? Oh, we need to make sure we have a good cooler. We need to make sure we get everything prepared ahead of time. You know what I mean? Like right now we're on the macro thing, so I got to measure and weigh everything. Let's make sure that we have all that planned out and picked out ahead of time and done. And so my brain's always doing all these like calculations and figuring that stuff out.
Yep.
And I'm also trying to figure out like exactly how long everything's going to take because I hate being late.
Yeah.
Like I hate being late for anything, and especially if like it's my doing, because I miscalculated or didn't go through this process. So I think like I have gotten really good at this to where I can pretty much nail exactly how long things are going to take. And like as things are happening, like I know we need to be out the door in 30 minutes. My brain's going, okay, well we still have this, and this. My brain's already done the math, and I'm like, we need to get moving. Like I'll see people moving slowly. I'm like, you have to move faster because we will not make it out on time if you're moving at this pace when we have this, and this to do. You know what I mean? So from a logistics standpoint, I think I'm pretty good. I think that's one of my bigger skills.
I've seen you do that. You are good at that. And I'm laughing because, and babe, if you're listening, because my wife does watch this show sometimes, I love you. So just be cool, man. I would love
sleeping on the couch tonight. I can tell.
No, just for fun. I would love to see in a parallel universe, like you being married to my wife, and see, I think the marriage would last. I'm not going to measure in years. I'm going to measure in minutes, because And I love her. I love her so much. She is chronically late to almost everything. And she always thinks she has more time than she does. Now, in her defense, she has in the past couple of years gotten a lot better. She really, really has. But this was so funny to me, like because I'm like you, I don't like being late, but I started to pick and choose on whether it was or wasn't important, right? There were certain things where if I'm late to something and it doesn't really matter that we're late, then I just don't really care. I wanted to never be late because of the sake of not being late. Where in some cases, who cares? You know what I mean? If there's like a gathering at like a family's house or whatever, and it's at 5 and you show up at 5:15, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. You know what I mean? But it wasn't fine for me in the beginning. But once I got to a point to where I could discern the differences, then when there were times where it was, we will not be late to this type thing, then I think her and I had a really healthy back and forth of like, this is not one of those we're messing around. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, this is what we're doing. And so then we would be in a good place. Right. And, she learned this behavior from her parents, whom I love very much, but you want to talk about chronically late to everything, bro, if we're going to meet for lunch, it's genetic. If we're going to meet somewhere, and again, if you guys are listening, you know, I love you. If we're going to meet somewhere and you know what, they also have gotten better the last couple of years. So everybody's making me a liar right now, but I got many years of experience.
Did you get on them about it? And they're trying to be better because you said something?
I don't know if I did, but if we're meeting for lunch, now that is different. If you're 15 minutes late, that's fine. But it was normal. If we're meeting for lunch at 12, don't get there at 12 because they're not going to be there till 12:45 because it's going to be 12:15, 12:20 until you text them like, are you guys almost here? And they're like, oh, we're getting out the door right now. I'm like, what's happening? You know, like that's not like, oh, we didn't adjust for traffic. You left 20 minutes after you were supposed to be there. So if your front door was a teleportation machine, you're still 20 minutes late. You know what I mean? So like that was the type of stuff that it just, so it's genetic, right? And it got to a point where I was like, what is going on?
Do you remember that time when we had to get to school and I was transferring that file or whatever on my drive and it was taking forever?
Best thing ever.
And I got really, really frustrated and I was like, "Rah!" Like raged.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be me with your wife.
Yeah. Over and over again, dude.
Like,
yeah, it would have made you absolutely bonkers.
Like my wife's pretty good. But like she's so chill. Like she's kind of like, you remember when we had B-dubs on and we just were like, this dude's gonna live forever because he's just so chill and stress free. My wife can be like that too. You know, to where it's like, it's time to go. And she's just like kind of chilling on the couch. And I'm like, we got to go. We still got to fill up her water. And she's got to, you know, and I'm like, come on. And she's like, okay. And she just kind of moseys on over. I can handle that because like she's never put us in a spot to where we're going to be that like late. You know what I mean? Like she's kind of like, we're okay. Like, you're the one that needs to chill. You know what I mean? Like you're a little too uptight, you know, and especially if it's something that's not that big of a deal. So I don't have that much issue with my wife, but I would struggle with yours if it was like that.
Oh, dude. But what's funny is one thing, I almost sometimes wonder if my wife likes to do this because she knows how much it gets to me and my daughter and she's just kind of razzing us.
Dude.
She likes it when we're in the airport and people are lining up to get on the plane. The doors are open. It's time. You're waiting for them to call your numbers. You get in line and you go. And that is when she'll go shopping.
Whoa.
Yeah, dude. She'll go get snacks for the plane, and I'm like, "What are we doing? Just get in line." And my daughter's like, "Oh, Dad, I can't. I'm
Dude.
like, "Here's the deal. We've never missed a plane. It's fine. You know what I mean? It's not like there's not seats for us there. These are in.
You've never missed a plane. You've had to leave a whole bag of luggage in the middle of the airport, but hey, you've never missed a chance.
I'll tell you this. This is. I'm gonna tell you this right now. That was both me and my wife. We factored everything wrong. We had to leave very, very early in the morning to get a plane to go to Texas for the World Series. And our daughter was going to meet us in Texas from New York. And we factored everything wrong that morning. And I don't know where I don't know what happened. And I remember being on the plane and being like, I don't know where I went wrong. You know what I mean? And I was like, because I'm like you, I know how to reverse engineer timings and to get it perfect. But we were trying to check our bags. And now if they did their job, we would have been fine. But the people who were we should have been there earlier. But first and foremost, the people who are working, we're talking about skills, not their skill, working hard or quick, not their thing. There was like 8 of them. One of them was doing something and seven of them were talking about, and I was just like, what is going on? Nothing, this line is not moving. You know what I mean? And we were in it forever, dude. And then finally it's time to check the bag, and we were past the deadline time on when you can check a bag. And we're like, you have to check this. So like, well, we're not checking it. And I was just like, I don't know how to, this is awful because you guys have just been standing here doing nothing. You know what I mean? So now we have this luggage. We pulled out what was critical in the luggage, put it in our carry-on, and you know what, airport? I'm sorry, you're going to have to deal with it. And we kicked it because we had about 5 minutes to get to the plane and get on.
It's crazy,
it was
man.
ridiculous, dude.
That's so crazy.
That was the worst ever. And in her defense, she has been plenty on time for every plane since then.
When it comes to the airport, I'm so paranoid that we're always there with too much time to spare.
What's too much time?
We're usually at the gate at least an hour before boarding starts.
I think that's okay.
Yeah.
I don't
know if I've ever gotten to the gate with less than an hour to go.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Yeah.
Oh, we've gotten to the gate and gotten right in line like about 80% of the time. Like we're just,
that's crazy.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
I couldn't, dude. I would be so stressed out. I couldn't do that. Because like missing a plane is a really big deal.
Yeah.
But a lot of times it's like you miss that plane, you also miss the next thing. You know, maybe you have a connecting flight, or maybe you are going on a cruise, and
that's different.
You almost missed a cruise as well.
That wasn't on us. That actually wasn't on us. That was a connecting flight. The flight was massively delayed. So that one almost missing the cruise.
Happens.
And we didn't even book the flights. The cruise line did. Yeah. So that was 100% not on us.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm so paranoid. I won't do connecting flights.
Yeah.
I take direct flights every time. I don't think I've ever taken a connecting flight.
Oh, you
I don't even know how they work.
You can't. You can't. But there's places that you can't. Like if I want to go directly to where my daughter's at, there's no direct flight. I have to. So that's just the way it is. All right. I think I'm good. I think I'm good at coaching, but I bring that up because I think it ties in with the empath thing. I think I know what people need to hear.
That makes sense.
Yeah. I don't like I've told stories on this podcast before of when I was coaching CrossFit and how I could get people over mental humps that they were having, because there's a certain one of the flags of CrossFit is gymnastics, and gymnastics is very, very, very mental, right? A box jump is not gymnastics, but it kind of is, right? And certain things like that, right? And seeing people struggle and knowing what words they needed to hear to get over that, I feel like that was a skill set that I got. And I did that when I was coaching girls softball as well. And like I said, when I was coaching this, I did that a lot when I was a drum instructor, although I was very, very young. So I don't think I was really that good at it. But I think that's a skill set I have. And I think that
I agree with that.
I could coach. I think I could coach almost. Now I used to tutor math when I was a kid, right? I was tutoring kids older than me when I was in junior high or high school, because I was very good at it, and they struggled, and I just knew how to teach them. That was really fulfilling. I remember that too. God, that feels, I forgot about that.
I was good at math.
Yeah.
I was pretty good at math.
Yeah, you're a smart dude.
I like math. Okay. Here, I'll put that on the list. Don't worry, I'm going to forget it anyways.
You know what? You're good at teaching.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, we taught together. We had I wasn't as empath as you were about like understanding what the kids needed, but I definitely was able to convey like the skill. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like this is how you do it, and demonstrate and have them pick it up through like osmosis in a way. So I had a different teaching style as you, but that's why we work together so well. That's how we do. I mean, this is something we've always known. Like we are yin yang with a lot of things we do.
Yep.
And our coaching, our teaching was that way as we were drum instructors. It was kind of that way. It wasn't like good cop, bad cop, I would say, or nothing like that. It was just like and I think that's important too when you're teaching a group of students, like, or teaching anyone really, is understanding how people learn differently.
Yep.
Because like there's various ways people will understand things, whether it's visually or through just whatever. There's a whole thing about how people learn differently, and we would do a really good job of like making sure we hit on the different types of ways that people could learn. And I know some people kind of got a little irritated. Like if we had a student who got the first method and then we still taught the second and third methods, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it wasn't for them. They're like, come on, guys, you've already gone through this. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So there was a little bit of that, but I think that I think together we did a pretty good job in coaching and teaching.
But I also mean, like, there's been times where in this world that we live in, a lot of people don't know about this business, what we do, whether it's the podcast or it's YouTube, the other, we play games and stuff like that. I don't think people are aware of how much behind the scenes complexity comes with it, right? There's so many different types of platforms that you have to use, and a lot of different software that you got to learn, and you got to stay up to speed with the updates that are happening, or when something goes out of style and you got to come up with a new software, or sometimes it's hardware or whatever. Sometimes, and we've talked about this, where I like to figure things. I don't want to bug you, so I want to figure it out on my own. But every once in a while, I'm like, he's going to figure this out in 2 seconds, so I'm just going to call him. And when I call you, you're either never annoyed that I'm asking for your help, or you're a really good actor. So I don't know.
We know I'm not a good actor.
Hopefully it's So, but when you help me through those things, those technical issues or whatever, I don't know if you're helping. I don't know if you're curbing your words rather for me, or if this is how you would have explained it to anybody. But it just makes sense when you do it. Like it just when you teach me, like when there's a new software or something that I'm not familiar with or whatever, it just makes sense. Like it ends up making sense when you're teaching me what the thing is, and I'm like, that's amazing. The only one, and this was not on you, the only one that my brain still to this day was struggling with, and even though I get it, it's like I don't get it. It was the specific configurations necessary for virtual cables. Like it wasn't the concept of what a virtual cable is. It was the configurations. You'd be like, you have to set it to this and set it to that. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, because I feel backwards.
It was, I'm like, that's backwards.
Outputs and inputs feel backwards.
Yes.
With that whole thing. I remember that.
Yeah.
And instead of like trying to understand it, I just flipped it in my brain.
You face value.
Yeah.
You're like, well, that's what it is. So that's what it is. I'm like, but it shouldn't be that way.
That's why you couldn't get it.
Yeah.
Because you wouldn't allow your brain to just be like, to just accept the flip. Yeah. But yeah, it is actually backwards. The same thing with observers in Minecraft. Like I feel like when you place them, it's backwards.
Do you?
Yeah, I think the observing part should be facing you, not the output of it. You know what I mean? The output, the redstone part, like it drives me nuts. It absolutely drives me nuts that they've got that backwards.
God, don't get in my head, because the direction of the observer makes sense to me, but you're going to get me overthinking it. I know exactly what you're talking about. If you're observing something, you're pointing at something. Point at what you're observing. Like that's what you're saying. But no, the point, if you will, is really where the redstone's coming out of, and the observing is happening in the back of my head. So I could see how that's.
But I've had to just accept it. But anyway,
I'm glad
that's just how my brain works.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I would have said it, explained things differently to Tango or you,
right.
Or Gem or whatever, Scar. Scar definitely would have been different, probably.
You think so?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Because he doesn't. What is it that he's never tried before? There was something that I'm like, have you done this or tried this? He's like, no, I've been meaning to. And I think Green was like, you're never going to convince him to do it, man. And I don't remember what it was. It wasn't replay mod. What the heck was it?
Oh, the status mod.
The what?
The status mod where we set our status. Yeah. Because the second it was like more than like one switch, Scar was out, and I made the mistake of,
because he gets bored.
I made the mistake. I'm usually, like you said, I'm usually pretty good at understanding how people will take in information.
Yeah.
And so like when people come to me advice, because I do a lot of the tech stuff, like I cycle through devices like crazy because I just love tech.
Yeah.
Right. So I've tried every device on the market, it feels like. And so when people are like, I'm in the market for something new, what device do you think I should get? They come to me because I know I've had experience with it all. Well, depending on the person, I will tell them something different.
Yeah.
So like Gem's I just want it to work. Keep it simple. I don't want bells and whistles. And I was like, okay, this product's the one you want to use. And I nailed it. I was right. And then Ren came to me, and I know Ren loves to tinker. And I was like, all right, we're going the complicated device. I warned him. I'm like, it's gonna be complicated, but once you get it, you're gonna be in love with it, you know. And he got it, and I was right.
Is that the Rodecaster?
He figured out the Rodecaster Pro 2, which is an undertaking to understand how it works. And he's got it now, and he's figured it out, and he loves it. He's told me he loves it, and that was like, he was so glad I recommended it. Well, I recommended the Rodecaster Pro 2 to Scar. And Scar is not having it.
No,
it's in his closet. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
It's just
he wouldn't do it. So I don't always nail it, but I misjudged. I didn't. It's nothing against Scar.
No.
It's just like, this is like, there are certain things in people's lives, like they just want it to work. They don't want to have to go through. They don't care about the bells and whistles, and I didn't see that with Scar. I was just so hyped about the device because it was new to me that I was just like, dude, you gotta get this. It's so awesome. And I didn't think it through. And then once I saw that, then I realized I need to kind of approach these a little bit differently.
Sure.
So, I'm also constantly evolving and learning in that bit of my life as well on how to give proper advice. But thank you. I'll take it.
No, it's true, man. And that's it was the saddest thing. You explained the saddest thing to me, and it was just like, I haven't used it since, so I probably need a refresh, but it was at the time, I'm like, and it really wasn't that complicated, but there has been complicated things you've had to explain to me before, where once we were done, I'm like, that was, and it was actually, and you never made me feel stupid. You know what I mean? Whenever I got to learn something, whenever I have to ask you about something, especially when I have to, it's not the first time I've asked it, you never make me feel stupid. And that's huge aspect for a teacher to have.
It's so easy to forget what it was like to be new. You know what I mean?
You don't even know what it's like to be new. That's what I've been trying to tell you. You don't. That's amazing that you have the patience you have, because you don't even know what it is to struggle in terms of understanding something. I'm sure there's been things that stumped you for all of 5 or 6 seconds, but you don't fully understand what it is to be like, it's just not coming together, and it's getting worse for me in my old age and everything and the other stuff. But you're always so. Yeah, maybe it's just because we're buds. I don't know. You're patient with me. I assume you're patient with everybody.
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, like you've said, I have a pretty long fuse. And that's, what did you say? In a small boom?
A small boom. Long fuse, small boom.
Yeah, thanks for that one. I think that's, I think that's the skill. You're right. That's the skill that I have, is being able to kind of like put myself in people's shoes and try to like understand.
Do you enjoy
what it is they need? Do I enjoy it? Not while I'm doing it.
No,
not while I'm doing it. Not until the payoff of seeing their eyes light up and, and then getting the accolades afterwards. Like my love language is words of affirmation. Like that's what I need to get from people. And so when Ren came to me and he was like, dude, thank you so much. I love this device. It was a great recommendation. It was like, I'm glad. I'm really glad this worked for you. Same with Jem, and so, while we're going through it, I'm not really thinking ahead of like, okay, is that payoff coming? But then when it comes, it's like, okay, that was definitely worth me taking time to help somebody else.
Yeah, I can dig that. Here's something I think I'm good at. I think I'm really good at being able to identify other people's strengths. That's something also I saw as a kid, is just knowing what made somebody stand out in regards to what they have to offer, and that was, I used that a lot when I was coaching or when I was instructing, drumline and stuff like that, was finding what people's strengths are and finding a way to maximize on that for them and for the greater good or whatever. And it was a fun journey, because whenever I would see that somebody had leadership or whatever, I'll take that as an example. That was always a fun journey, especially when they were young, because not everybody's ready to hear that. And it took me a while to I'd have to tell people, listen, this is who you are. You are a leader. You might not want to be, but you are somebody that people are drawn to. They want to watch you do something, and they start to assess based on your take of what the something was. Is it something that they are interested in? So this is just what it is. This is what your life is. So if you don't want to take an active role in that, that's your right, but you need to be aware that this is your presence, because you can also be very reckless if you're selfish with this. You know what I mean? So that was like being able to identify that, or identify when somebody was naturally gifted at maybe a very, very, very specific skill set, finding a way to have that work for the greater good. I think that was something I was good at as a kid. I might still be good at it. This whole podcast has got me questioning where I stand anymore because I think I've just changed so
much. You don't
much.
test it enough.
I don't
to know if it's still relevant.
No, I've become.
What do they say?
hermit.
Like, there's a number. Like, they've done research, and there's a specific number of times you need to exercise something to get good at it. Like, if you were brand new, and obviously there's a variation depending on the individual. But there's like they've got like an average number, and I want to say it's like crazy high, like 10,000. I'm probably wrong.
Whoa!
Like, if you do something 10,000 times, you'll. Maybe the word's master it.
Okay.
Not get perfect at it, because perfect isn't achievable, right? But you can to like master a skill, you need to do it like 10,000 times. Because I'm thinking like, okay, maybe that's my issue, is like I don't do things 10,000 times.
Yeah.
You know, I've played Minecraft 10,000 times, so I would venture to say I'm good at Minecraft.
Yeah.
You know,
venture.
Like I would say so. Now, if you want to start doing comparison, then that's a whole different subject. You know, like I'm not going to be like, oh, I played, you know, MCC 10,000 times, so I'm going to be the next JoJo Solos. No, you know, but I'm sure I'm a lot better than people who haven't played it 10,000 times.
Of course,
you know. So yeah, I mean, skills aren't always just innate.
No.
You know what I mean?
No,
like a lot of times
agreed,
you have to.
agreed.
You didn't just pick up the book and start spinning it. You had to work for it. You didn't just get COBOL. You had to work for it.
Right.
You know?
I would categorize Minecraft in the silly category. You understand? Like that's what I'm saying. Like that's what I mean in regards to the silly stuff and the real stuff. Silly's probably the wrong word, but you know what I'm understanding. What I'm saying here. I think
transferable. You know, like when you go for a job and you have your resume, and it's like, what are your skills that are like pertaining to the job, and then what are your transferable skills?
Yeah,
like the serious stuff would probably be like the transferable skills.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, time management, people management, stuff like the ability to prioritize or pivot. That's another one. My ability to have a face of calm in a crisis is weird. Like that is like, actually, I'm very grateful for that skill. And
we talked about this. Like time slows down for you.
It slows down.
That's crazy.
Exactly. We talked exactly about this.
So jealous of that.
Yeah, because you said it speeds up.
It speeds up for me. I'm so jealous.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I don't. It's in it. And one of these days, dude, I'm going to be tested, and I'm gonna be like, nope, I'm not cut out for that. So, I mean, I don't want to get dark here, but like, if there's a car crash, I feel very confident in my ability to assess it and identify what's needed, attend to the emergencies and all that stuff. If there's a change of plans at the last second we're on the clock or whatever, I feel like I'm very skilled in the ability to assess exactly what is on the table for what's still plausible as a solution for us. Right. I can do that. And knowing that I've had times in my life where there's been a critical decision that had to be made. I don't remember what it was, but in the time it had to be made and the people that had to be consulted, the time was so tight that I was like, this is a decision that we need to, and this is how I said it too. We need this decision. And I hate to be that guy, but you have 20 seconds because I don't remember what the happening was. And I don't think anybody was about to die or anything, but it was just literally happened. Like, this is where we're at. And we have 20 seconds. So whatever it is, so, you know, and it was, but the calm delivery, like, it helps, right? I don't remember the exact nuances of the story, but it was something to that effect. I think I'm okay with that, but it's only a matter of time before, like, I'm in a situation where the crisis is so big that I'm not, and it might start to speed up for me. You know what I mean? It might be, and I don't know what that's going to be.
I hope you never tested that.
What if
much,
what if
that
I'm
feels like it'd be pretty dire.
Right. What if I'm in a hotel fire or something?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I panic. You know, I have no idea. So I hope it's never tested either. But
yeah.
But I'll take what I can get. I like what I have so far for that skill.
Just thinking through the whole resume thing, it's like, okay, the idea that I'm going to have to make a resume again at some point in my life and go to a job and just be like, so you're good at Minecraft, I see. You know, like,
I'm working on spinning a book on my finger.
Yeah.
No,
check me out with a drumstick, bro.
No, if you had to make a resume, you also have 20 years in tech. So don't get yourself twisted. You have.
Yeah. No, there's a lot that like we talked about, there's a lot that goes on kind of behind the scenes, you know, like figuring out audio and video and lighting and stuff. And we're still learning, but the amount of things we have learned over the past couple of years of doing this podcast, over the past decade of creating content. I mean, I know you just went full time, 6 months ago or whatever, but we've been creating content together since the beginning of the channel.
Yeah.
Skizzleman Presents. You remember, so we've picked up a ton of stuff, and a lot of that is actually transferable skills, and some of that is specialized skills.
Yep.
Like we could apply to be video editors if we wanted to,
right?
Stuff like that.
Yeah,
So,
specialized. I like that word better. Almost like I'm using the word silly, and that's not the right one, but it's almost like a special skill that's not transferable. You have it or you don't.
right.
You know what I mean? It's like you know how to code, or you currently don't know how to code. You know how to spin a book, or you don't know how to spin a book. But like being an empath or being a good teacher, that's like, that just spreads across so many different things. Yeah.
Yep.
I like that.
Hey, so I have more skills than just forgetting stuff. Nice.
And
Thanks.
knowing what I'm going to say next.
Yeah.
Hey, what I want to see is this. Now, I started this podcast talking about how I think everybody's good at something. And I fully adhere to that. I really do. I am an old man, and I've met a lot of people in my life, and I can safely say not one person have I ever met that wasn't good at something. Now, I've seen a painful amount of people who could be good at so many things, and they just they just aimed low, and they just didn't give it a go. I've seen a lot of that. That's very different. But this is what I want to see in the comments. I want everybody to take a second and do some self-reflection, because a lot of you know the things that you're good at. I want to hear about them, which I'm reading a lot more comments today. I want to, I want to see what you think you're good at. I want to know. And for those of you that are right now saying, well, I can't add to this because I'm not good at anything, just pump the brakes for a second and please give yourself permission to explore yourself a little bit more. Go into your past, go into your current state and where you are hoping to go. And I am willing to bet the answer is a resounding yes. You're going to find something, and you might think it can be either specialized, or it can be, I'm so glad you used the word specialized. It can be specialized, or it can be more innate or whatever, but go find what that is, and give yourself permission to pat yourself on the back a little bit, because there's a very good chance that one of the things that you're good at, you're just blind to.
Yeah.
It's just something you offer people.
Yeah, if you have somebody that you trust in your life too,
ask them. Yeah.
Because a lot of people will see it and hold on to that information, and you don't even know.
You're right. You're right, dude.
If you have somebody you trust, then ask them, like, hey, is there anything I'm good at that you can think of?
Yeah.
Simple.
This reminds me of when I had to ask my boss's boss what I'm good at. Did I ever tell you this? I think I said it on this podcast. I had to do 360 feedback, which is just like you have to go to somebody high up and you have to basically ask them about you. This is back in the corporate world. And I'm like, I got to do this. And I had to talk to my boss's boss. And this is what I said. What am I good at? And I barely got the sentence out. He's all screwing around. And I was like, whoa. And that was the
Nailed
whole
it.
This was actually in the leadership podcast, because he made he made a whole joke out of it. It was
that's funny. But yeah, do it. Drop the comments. We'll read them best we can.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to see what you guys have to say there.
I want to see
Maybe
it.
you'll remind me of stuff I couldn't think of for myself.
Tell him what he's good at.
Oh yeah, I'd love to hear that.
There's lots of stuff.
Words of affirmation. So do it up. I need that. But hey, that was a fun one. That was super fun podcast.
Fun little podcast.
Hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time.
See you guys.